Hey everyone, Tim Stoddard here, and in today's video, we are going to talk about blogging. Is blogging still a good way to generate clients for your agency, to sell more products, to sell more courses for your membership community? Let's dive right into it. Is blogging still a good way to get new clients and customers? In this guide, I'm going to help you understand how blogging has changed and what's actually working in today's marketing. You'll learn why traditional blogging just doesn't convert the way that it used to, and you'll also see how to use modern tools that build trust. And this one is for the writers out there, how to continue to be a great writer and use long form written content as a way to grow your business. So this is a subject matter that hits close to home. I got my start as an entrepreneur with blogging. In fact, the website that I learned everything from, one of the websites that I bought, is called Copyblogger. So blogging has been a huge part of my success, and it's been something that I feel like I could always depend on, right? Like if I needed to find a way to generate more sales, find a way to generate more traffic, I could always stick with blogging. But times have changed. It's just not the same as it used to be. So in part one of this video, we're going to see why the old model just doesn't work like it used to. And we're gonna go behind the scenes for Copyblogger. So for anyone who hasn't seen it before, this is Copyblogger. I'm actually gonna show you the website, but I wanted you to see this pop up real quick because this is the old model. So this pop-up is site-wired. So as we transition over to the blog, just remember that this pops up for new users on the website. And this is the old model. You would write really well thought out, really great long form content. And then that content itself was the traffic mechanism. It was through inbound search and it was through long tail search that I would generate traffic to all of my websites, not just Copyblogger. I would do this for Sober Nation. I would do this for Stasi. I would do this for any new website that I wanted to create. And then when people landed on this page because they were interested in a certain subject matter, that pop-up that you saw would show up. And that's how we collect our emails. And then once people get into the email list, they are sent a newsletter and they are sent an email funnel, which then in turn turns them into customers, whether that be clients for a service business or whether that be customers that are buying some of your products, whether it's a physical product or a digital product. And so let's take a look at why things just aren't what they used to be. Okay, so I'm in the back end of SEMrush right now, and we're doing a little mini audit on Copyblogger. So the reason why I can get away with this with Copyblogger is just because Copyblogger is such an insanely powerful website. You know, it's got 2.9 million backlinks. It's a top 0.1% website just in terms of its strength with SEO and with how long it's been around. But let's not get it twisted. You know, this was my traffic in 2021. And you can see that over the course of the last 4 years, it's just been like a systematic plummeting of the traffic that I get from inbound. So luckily, I know what I'm doing. And I even created some videos about zombie pages. So pages that just like weren't very good, wasn't very good content that you would delete and then redirect to other pages. So over time, I've consolidated the type of traffic that comes to Copyblogger. So only potential buyers are going to come to Copyblogger. I don't get any of the traffic that, used to make the traffic numbers go up, but wasn't really traffic that would be a potential customer anymore. Everybody that comes to Copyblogger is super, super relevant. And so with that, I've still been able to maintain, well, not just me, Charles and I, because Charles plays a huge role in this, but I've still been able to maintain a large number of email signups. So when I first bought Copyblogger, I was generating about 120, sometimes even close to 200 email signups a day. These days, that's closer to 60. I will also say, to Charles's credit mostly, the revenue is higher now than it even was back then, just because we've honed in exactly who our target customer is, and we've honed in like the keywords that we rank for in order to make sure that the people that come to the site are like potential customers. So our conversion rate is also very high. But there's no getting around it. Like the traffic and the email signups are just down. And so the old way is through this. So people would come in. This is the automation, by the way, on ConvertKit. People would come in through any one of the entry points. Like this is the pop-up. So you can see that this one has generated the vast majority of the signups, but the homepage email form, you can see it right here. This is the homepage email form. So if we go to the blog, you can see that this is the sidebar email form. And if you go to the footer, you can see that this is the footer email form. And so all of these forms are how people come into the funnel. They get tagged so that they get sent the weekly newsletter, and then they get sent into this main sequence. And through this sequence is where we sell the vast majority of our memberships to Copyblogger Academy. This is the whole game. In addition, there's a weekly newsletter that gets sent out that is very short and to the point. But on that newsletter, we also have a subtle but effective CTA at the end of the newsletter for the Academy, for coaching, and for sponsorships of the newsletter itself. These are all just previews, right? So this one goes to copybloggeracademy.com, which is right here. This one goes to the type form for people to apply to fill out coaching. And then this one goes to another type form for people to apply for sponsorships. So I think it's really important that you understand the machine that makes this work, right? Yes, there is a weekly newsletter for Copyblogger. Yes, there is an email automation that sells the products and the services, but the content is highly, highly, highly specified to generate traffic for people that could be a potential customer. And that's why nothing gets published on Copyblogger if it isn't perfectly SEO'd and it isn't ranking for a specific keyword, because that's the whole game. That's how everybody comes in. So Copyblogger is a blog, but Copyblogger is also a newsletter, and Copyblogger is also an email funnel. This is going to be very, very difficult for you to succeed with if this is your model to start today. This only works for Copyblogger because Copyblogger is just such like an insanely powerful website. And by the way, I'm not the only one. Let's take a look at another example. So almost everybody knows Neil Patel. He's like got one of the most successful agencies in the world. And he was famous for just having killer SEO and using his SEO as a way to generate leads for his agency. And so you can see that within the content, he has this CTA to book a call, this CTA up top. This goes to the same page. This is to book a call. He's got CTAs everywhere, all about leads. His whole website really does nothing but generate leads for his agency. I thought there was, oh yeah, so there is another one at the end too. It's a subtle one, but it's a link to his agency. His agency is NP Digital. So, Neil Patel is like the best at this. He's kind of controversial in some ways, but in terms of the success that he's generated, it's been massive. Look, same exact thing has happened to Neil Patel. I mean, it's staggering. He got almost 8 million hits a month, and now he's back down. I mean, still gets a lot of traffic. That's almost 1 million hits a month as opposed to what I'm doing for Copyblogger, but how the mighty have fallen. This just does not work the way that it used to. All right, so if you're a writer and you want to sell your services and your products, what do you do? What do you do instead? Well, let's look at the new way of doing things. Part 2, what works now? You still have to build your email list. This is so subtle. It's so subtle, the shift, but once you get it and once it clicks for you, it's going to make a huge difference because the money is still in the list. Just like up here, the money is in the email list. The difference is that the newsletter and the content are the same thing. The front-facing content, the content that people see, and the content that people get delivered into their inbox are the same thing. And what's also different is that social media, as opposed to SEO, is what generates the traffic to the website. So once again, let me show you some examples of the new way of using content marketing. All right, look, so this is my newsletter, timsdods.com. Most people watching this video are going to be familiar with this. And this is so different because I don't SEO any of this content anymore. And the reason is because I don't need my traffic to come from Google search. There's just no point because it's a game that I'm not going to win. However, the content that gets published, the content that is front facing, what people see on the internet, is the same content that gets sent into the inbox. And then at the end of every single newsletter, I have a CTA. So it's kind of semantics here, right? Because we're calling it a newsletter. But the only reason why we call it a newsletter is because we're just used to the old way of doing things, where there was blogging, which was like front facing, and then a newsletter, which was usually curated content which landed in people's inboxes. But now they're one and the same thing. And so this is how I generate clients now. And just to give you another example, I'm sure you guys have seen this before, but timstots.com is much more of like a personal brand. Obviously, this is like a picture of my kid. I write about a whole bunch of different stuff. So it's not always 100% tailored towards business, although most of the time it is tailored towards business. But the census, this is another one of my newsletters, which is tailored towards behavioral health professionals because my agency, I've worked in the behavioral healthcare field for a long time. And so you can see another example of an issue that I published. Well, I didn't personally publish it, but I own it. And there's a sponsorship up here, which is great. And it's just a really, really valuable newsletter, which is perfect for CEOs and CMOs of behavioral healthcare organizations. And then at the end of each issue, there's a subtle but effective CTA. And so if you click this button, you go to my agency, and this is how I collect deals. It's one of the ways that I collect leads and book deals. So the newsletter is the inbox. The blog and the newsletter are the same thing. It's just that since we're not worried about inbound search traffic anymore, the style of the content that we're creating is much different. All right, so the next question is, how are we generating traffic to the newsletter if inbound search no longer works? Well, this is where social comes in. If there's one lesson that you can learn from this video, it's this, and that is that social media is not within itself that valuable. The whole purpose of social media is to generate traffic to your newsletter. So, you don't have to take my word for it. Just go to my Instagram, go to my profile, boom, timstods.com. Go to my LinkedIn, go to my profile, right? Boom, timstods.com. If we go to my YouTube channel, you can see in my profile, timstods.com. And so I've just bypassed SEO in total. I don't worry about inbound search anymore, with the exception for Copyblogger, but we've already gone through that. The point now is to use social media as a way to generate traffic to the newsletter slash blog slash website slash media company. Like we should just start calling them media companies, really. And then using the content as a way to build a personal relationship with your customers in their inbox, and then CTAing whatever it is that you're trying to sell. So this is for my product, the Launchpad. And, I've been selling a ton of these, and they all come from my newsletter. And I only have 15,000 subscribers. Like, that's a lot, but it's not like I have 2 million, and this is doing really well. So it's a very effective model. Okay, so let's look at another example. Cole and Dickey ship 30 for 30. I mean, this one is really cool because they don't even necessarily put their content out there. They just have a landing page to build their newsletter, and everything that they do goes through their newsletter. And this is the product that they sell. Ship 30 for 30. Caitlin, okay, why we buy? Yeah, this is a good example because this is a good example because Caitlin still publishes her content on WordPress, but you'll notice that none of her content is optimized for SEO. She just treats it right off the bat like a newsletter, and then funnels all of her traffic through social media to the newsletter itself, or to the blog, to the website, and publishes her newsletters on the website. But I bet if we go down to the bottom, we'll have a CTA. So this is a CTA for a playbook. This is the waitlist for her service, and this is sponsorship. Right? Like, it's the same thing over and over again. The people that have figured out this really subtle but important distinction are the ones that are really killing it with their newsletters right now. And we'll do one more example. We'll do my buddy Dan Go. I love this guy. This is another example where, yes, he is publishing his newsletters on the website, but these aren't optimized at all. 4-Minute Fridays. If you want to lose 20 pounds by the summer, read this. So his 4-Minute Fridays, this is as much of a curated newsletter as it gets, just in terms of the formatting of it. I know that he uses ConvertKit, and so he just takes this exact content and publishes it out as a newsletter. And then, what do you know? When you're ready, 3 ways to help Lean Body 90 System. So this is his course, and this is his one-on-one coaching, and this is his subscription. Damn, Dan has 410,000 subscribers. That's crazy. My dude is killing it. I'm so happy for him. Most of the revenue that Dan generates comes from his coaching. He is just absolutely crushing it with his coaching business. And this is how it all works. So with Dan, we can take another example. If we go to his Instagram and we type in Dan Go, I guarantee you that this is all just going to funnel. Oh yeah, look at that. He doesn't even send it to his website. It literally goes to dango.com/newsletter. I mean, how telling is this? That even in the example that we have where the creator still publishes his newsletter content on WordPress, he's still funneling the traffic to his /newsletter page. Like this might as well be a Substack or a Beehive because there's just a splash page to build his list. The game has changed a lot. And I'm excited about the change. Part of me is also like sad about the change and nostalgic just because I do love WordPress and I love publishing content on blogs. But this is what we got to do. This is how you need to do it now. So social media absolutely plays a role. But the foundation of what I learned from Copyblogger, which is not to build your brand on social media, you got to own your brand by having an email list, by having a website. Like we can still build our businesses without breaking that rule because yes, we are putting more emphasis on social media than ever, but the social media is only a mechanism to build the email list because we own the email list. Like we have control of our audience if we have it on an email list. And that's why the conversion between email and sales is so much higher than on anything else. If you can get them into your email list, it means that they trust you. And if they trust you, then they'll buy from you. So the rules have changed. Play the new game. Yes, blogging is dead, but long form content is not dead. If you have any questions, please leave them in the comments. Thank you so much for watching. Please smash that subscribe button, and I will talk to you on the next one.